Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode around the fire on Spirit Reflections. I'm Fred Govea, and today we're going to talk about how can a mom still be a writer and be creative and support an entire network all over the country of writers that continue to thrive in their creativity while still being great parents. We're going to meet Milda Devoe. She's multi-talented, multi-award winning. Her website and all the information are here in the comment section of the video. So follow her, subscribe, donate. She founded in 2009 an amazing nonprofit organization called Pen Parentis, which is also down here. She's going to talk about all of that. And I want you to tune in to hear her story, share her journey like we do with all of our guests here, the spiritual things that they've overcome, how they've come into their own in the work that they do. So subscribe to Spirit Reflections, follow us online, and I hope to hear your questions about this conversation around the fire. So without further ado, let's welcome Milda. Milda, welcome on Spirit Reflections.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Beautiful. Milda and I just met a couple of weeks ago at church here in Trinity in Wall Street. After Mass, we just sat around a table, had breakfast, and then we started connecting on all these different amazing points. And I'm like, gosh, she really needs to be on the podcast. I want to interview this woman.
Beautiful things can happen over coffee, right, Fred?
Indeed. Especially that coffee, really good coffee.
That's good coffee.
So Milda, give us a sense of who you are, where you've come from, and a little bit of your bio and background before we delve into the work that you do supporting writers.
Sure. So I have a long and variegated journey. It is extremely windy. Didn't go direct. I was born in Texas to a Lithuanian family. I grew up speaking Lithuanian at home. There was an extraordinary love within the family, craziness. We always made jokes about everything, sort of to get through the fact that we were literally the only Lithuanian family for, I thought, anywhere, but for miles. I literally grew up believing, that every single family had its own home language, because my father was in academia. Well, he was in chemistry research, so he was in science, and in the university, the postdocs they were from different countries. So I thought that every single family had a home language and a home culture that you got to visit by going to their house. It was like living in Epcot Center, I guess. But I just believed that. And I believed that until I was about 8 years old. When I first went to Chicago and I saw some other people speaking Lithuanian, I went up to them. I was like, "You're not in my family. Why are you speaking my family's language?"
That's so funny.
Was hilarious to everybody except my grandmother, who was kind of mad. but in this sense, like, I did grow up in a true lonely, othering kind of environment. I found lots of ways to overcome that, and spirituality being one of them. I was very deep in the Catholic Church. My parents were super Catholics, and so took us like all the time to every single Mass that they could possibly take us to. So there was a great deal of ceremony around church, and also community around church. I was always in music. I was I was lucky to have a good voice. And so I started in church to sing, to be the cantor, to be in the choirs. From the church singing that I loved, I went into church to a choir in school. And then I started winning awards in singing. And then I decided I wanted to become a singer. But I was Lithuanian, so it was during it was the very end of the Soviet times. And at that time, all the Lithuanians that had, let's call it, escaped from the Soviet Union, wanted to keep the culture, let's call it, pure, wanted to keep it from being altered to what the Soviets wanted us to believe that our history was. And there was this big duality about what is truth. There was a paper called Pravda, which said truth, which printed only lies. And it was a big conflict between, what is truth and where does the truth come from? And so out in the emigre world and the exterior world of Lithuania, we were all in little communities that tried to keep the language alive, keep the culture alive, just so that it wouldn't just all be eliminated. So I got sent to a boarding school to learn Lithuanian. And that boarding school was the only one in the free world, happened to be in West Germany. So I got moved from Texas, where I was already sort of an outcast, to Lithuania, to Germany, to a Lithuanian high school in Germany, where I was another kind of other person. So there was a lot of othering in my life.
Got it.
Instead of feeling like that made me horrible or distant, that made me so curious. I was dying to know what other people lived like, how, what their languages, what their backgrounds. I think the first thing that I ask people most of the time is, what's your background? Like, where you come from? Where are you, like, how did you grow up? And I'm especially fascinated by people who don't necessarily look like what their background is. Like people who are adopted from other countries and raised in families that have strong traditions of another kind. That kind of duality of identity is a lot of what I write about. And it's always been my central issue, is like, who makes us us? What makes us us? Who gets to make us us? Like a lot of times people try to make us something that we're not. Sometimes we let them. That's crazy too. There's a great deal of questions of identity in my writing, in my life, and in my thoughts. I'm kind of like a big philosopher. I really like big ideas. I have this crazy blog called This Is Ridiculous, in which I just write about whatever ridiculous thing I happen to be distracted by that week. And yeah, it's on a Substack. It's cute. It's free. Everybody can subscribe. Feel free to subscribe. But but so after my high school in Germany, I came back. My mom insisted that I get an American high school diploma. So I came back for my senior year of high school. And then I went to Baltimore because I wanted to get out of Texas, which I found very confining. And I just couldn't even find people who knew what Lithuania was or where it was. And to remind you, it is a tiny country north of Poland on the Baltic Sea, right across the water from Finland. So it's this tiny little, not Scandinavian, not Polish, weird little cluster and of three countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. And they are right on the coast. So Mother Russia would really like to take them over and get rid of the people that are living there so that they could have a really easy access to the water. So that's always the danger in like political, like larger political, geopolitical things. But in general, they're just a really cool people who are super good at design and technology and speak English really well.
Nice. So I'm curious because you drew a wonderful a comparison here about these three very strategic countries in the Baltic Sea and maintaining, preserving the culture and identity intact so that it's not overrun by the Pravda censors and everything. What led your parents to come to Texas in the first place?
So they were very small when they emigrated. So right after World War II, their parents, each family, came out. And then they landed in Chicago in an immigrant community in Chicago of Lithuanians. It was like, actually, I think it still is the biggest concentration of Lithuanians outside of Lithuania. And it's something like 3 million. Like it's big. And there are other smaller ones but they're very tight. And even to this day, there's like a folk dance festival every 2 years, a song festival every 2 years. There's always something going on culturally outside of Lithuania. And right now, the president of Lithuania, he's really cool. He just did a big push to kind of reconnect the people who had left to the people that stayed. Because they had, during the Soviet times, obviously they had a brain drain because people were afraid of getting deported, right? And then there were also right after the liberation, so independence came in 1990, in March of 1990. That happened to also coincide with me graduating from college right at that time. And so I literally graduated from college and my whole purpose of being changed, because my whole purpose of being was to get Lithuania free of the Soviet. Like I went to demonstrations. I was very active in trying to alert people that the Soviet Union was not a lovely place. It was a bad place. It wasn't necessarily Russia equal, but it was definitely bad. Like this Soviet Union that was taking over small countries and trying to make them Russian was bad. And so that was what I did all as a high school kid, all through college. I organized all this stuff. I went to Washington. I marched from the White House. Like I did all the things. And then Lithuania was liberated. And I'm like, oh, now what do I do? Like, what's my purpose? What do I do? So
well, you're almost a third generation American though, right? Because if your parents came over when they were like young,
they were they were little. They were little. But
so they
I don't know.
grew
I
up
was
pretty.
raised like majorly like I was told when I was growing up that I was like first generation.
Okay, got it.
So it's like really, it's very complicated what generation you are.
Yeah, it's part of like what makes us in a way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it
Because
also like it has to do like people make assumptions if you're,
right,
let's say, third generation. I mean, I know that there are cultures in which there are actual specific words, like the Japanese culture,
yeah,
like
yeah,
whether you are first generation or second generation or third, like that
yep.
is an actual identity thing.
Identity. It's a label
And
that you wear proudly. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So it's very interesting what immigrants
So
do to their immigrant communities.
between your pursuit in becoming a professional singer and moving to Germany to learn Lithuanian,
Yeah,
tell us how that sort of drove your interests from music into writing as you're
sure.
graduating in
So
1990.
so when I graduated in 1990, I was 100% going to be a singer. And I moved to New York to be a singer actress. That is what I wanted to do with my life. Let me just turn off the bleeping of my email. Okay. So sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Anyway, yeah. So when I moved to New York, it was to be a singer and an actor. And I joined there was an American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And I graduated from, it's like a conservatory program. I graduated, I was very excited. However, on my last semester there, I ruined my voice. I got vocal nodes. And it was because I was singing all these crazy character voices. And I was, I didn't have good technique. I was young. I was super enthusiastic, maybe overly enthusiastic. And I blew out my voice. So then I went into straight acting. And because I love the stage. And so I just did acting for 10 years. And during that time, I married my husband. And he and I realized that when he was working 9 to 5, and I had a show, I was working 5 to 11 and weekends. Right. So there was really no time for us to have a real relationship. And so whenever I had a show, our marriage got really weird. So then I got to the point where I was like not looking for shows because I wanted to hang out with him and travel with him and do things. And then so I got away from this acting thing. And then finally, there was this ridiculous incident. So I was temping. I had a temp job to make some money. And at the temp job, I got in this big argument over paper clips with another secretary. She had accused me of taking paper clips off her desk.
Oh, man.
And I was like absolutely indignant. I'm like, why would I take paper clips off your desk? The supply closet is right there. We can just take paper clips anytime we want. And I found myself like in a true, real argument with this woman. And I thought to myself, well, what am I doing? Like, why am I in a job in which the ownership of paper clips is where I'm putting my energy? And it's not even ownership. It's a free thing. You just get it. Like this makes no sense. So I thought, okay, I have to find something better to do with my life. And so at that point, like I just really thought about what do I love to do? What do I like? And it turns out what I love to do is go to school. And so I was like, what I want is let me get a master's degree in something, anything. I just want to do more thinking and learning and accepting and taking in, and no fighting over paper clips. And so, no. And so I thought about like, what have I been doing? Like, what have I been doing? And I like acting. And I was like, well, I could go for acting, but I was young and I had a lot of hubris. And I was like, well, I already know everything there is to know about acting. I don't need to go to school for that, which is ridiculous. I probably should have. But what I did do is I had been working in this Japanese bank, very formal. I was on the executive floor. I was the executive assistant to the general manager of North America. It was very, very rigid. And part of the rules there was that you had to look busy all the time. But as a white woman, my job was to sit and look pretty. Like I had to tell people not to come into his office while he was napping. That was my job, to effectively turn people away. And maybe book golf course things. But the real work was being done by a Japanese staff in an entirely different department. So I literally had no work to do, but I had to look busy. So I started writing a novel. I wrote a first chapter. I gave it to the receptionist, who also had to look busy. And we weren't allowed to read. We weren't allowed to read books or newspapers. Like, that wasn't appropriate. So this was work.
This is at a time when screens were not everywhere. So looking busy meant writing something down or type something on a typewriter.
Early computers. So we did have a computer. I was typing on the computer. Maybe that's why it allowed me to get away with it, because
there you go.
You couldn't see what it was, but it was like, I don't know, like early generation PC. It was really old.
Right.
And I would just take, and I would print
it. The part that you were busy, but
I would print it out and I'd give it to my receptionist person, and the receptionist would read it, mark it up like it was work, right? She would mark up find the typos and stuff, edit it, and give it back to me with notes. So literally, this was like my first writing workshop, was this me and this receptionist, and neither of us had any background in this whatsoever. It was completely organic.
Sponsored by a Japanese company.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, these pages were the beginning of a novel. And that novel manuscript was what got me into Columbia University. So I went to Columbia for my MFA on the basis of these pages, and the fact that I did not know that it was a great university when I went. I only went because I got married on the campus. And I was like, oh, that's a beautiful campus. I could totally see myself learning there. And that's probably what I wrote in my essay, was like how lovely the trees are and how magnificent the library looks. And I can't wait to go there.
That's awesome.
It was very authentic, I will have to say. But I really liked grad school. And that's what really turned me into a writer, was going there, realizing that it was a career, a real career. Among my teachers were Michael Cunningham. I had, Helen Schulman was one of my teachers. I had really astonishingly good writers teaching me how to be a writer. So that was part luck, part skill, part talent, part gift. I have no idea. So
because I'm sure in your world, Milda, correct me if I'm wrong, not a lot of people get a chance to actually get a master's degree in the art of writing, and to be able to professionally profess that as a career, as an identity, as something that they can do as a full-time pursuit. And I think part of what helped you get this super lucky break is by being immersed in a place like Columbia for a master's in fine arts with a focus in writing, just fills your cells and every part of your being with this mantra, like, I am a writer. You take ownership. I mean, I'm speaking because I'm a musician. I went to music school, and that's just one of the things that define me. But sometimes I struggle with that identity. Am I a real estate agent, and also a musician, and also a podcaster, and also something else, fill in the blank? But when you have a degree, it kind of helps you to sort of own the part that you want to play in that professional pursuit.
You would think so, but what having the degree made me into was an alumna. It made me into a student. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to get more degrees. Like, I need to go get a PhD. This isn't enough. Because academia is really a stepping stone kind of thing. But what I will say is the community that I built in the school happened to be really good people, like the friends that I made there, leaning on each other, and that having that collective doubt of, am I really good enough to call myself a leader? Like, that is inside of, I think, every person. Even like CEOs are probably like, am I really good enough to be a CEO? I can't believe I have a corner office. This is crazy. A
little bit of the imposter syndrome, I guess, right?
I think that people have that. And I think that the way to get rid of that is to have friends who look at you and go, shut up. You are good at what you do, and you're like, oh, you're right. Let's go have coffee, because there is a sort of collective, there's a collective doubt of like, and the loss of purpose. Like, what am I doing? If I didn't publish, am I still a writer? If I didn't sell a house, am I still a realtor? Like, there is this success-based identity especially in this country, and success tends to be valued on whether you sold something in this country.
It's just so results driven, and it doesn't take into account the actual process of becoming, I guess.
Exactly. And the being of it, like the doing of the work, the sitting down and thinking, what is my next story? Like, when you're sitting there wondering what you're going to write, that, I think that might be the epitome of writing, is where you're sitting, because you're not sitting and going, what am I going to watch next on Netflix? You're not saying, who am I going to invite over for my next barbecue? You're spending that time that you could be doing anything, and you are spending it on your art, on your writing, and wondering what you should do next. Like that, I think, is what makes you into the thing.
And it's something that Stephen Pressfield in his book, The War of Art, says it so beautifully, and really helped me to be a professional with your music, with your composition, with your violin playing, with your artistic pursuits. Get out from the amateur mindset, he says, and really make it a professional pursuit, because as a professional, 100%. You are a little more detached with people's criticisms, with the outcome, because it's just a job. You do it like a professional, gets paid for their work, and that's it. You move on. And it really helped to shift the paradigm in my way of dealing with my art, for example. So
that's interesting. Critics are something else. The critics are very, very interesting. And interestingly, so because we have social media and all we do all day is judge, we put ups or downs, or I'm not going to judge. Like, I choose not to comment on this. Like, those three things, that's all you do on social media. Right. Do I share this with my people? Let me decide. Is it good enough? Is it worthy of me? Like, it is exhausting when you think about the micro, you know how they have like microaggression? This is like micro judging all the time, like constantly judging. And I think automatically you kind of get this feeling like you also are being judged. Like when you post a picture of your dinner, you know, you're thinking like, well, I wonder, I hope people like it. Like, I hope people like this. I hope people like this. I hope people like this. I can't, like, living like, I hope people like this is not like being centered and being calm and being like, I am who I am. I'm happy. Instead, you're like, I hope people like me. I hope people like what I'm wearing. I hope that my hairstyle is meets with the approval of the random person on the street. Maybe they'll take a picture of me. Like, what? No, that's crazy. That's not centered. It's no wonder we're all nuts. Like,
right. Yeah.
Right? Like, what?
Totally.
Where's the calm? Where's the like, I woke up, you know, it's just, we're very public with everything, and it causes us to be judged, but we also crave that. And we're also doing it all the time. There's a very, like, if you think of like where your energy is, it's a very sort of external thing. It's not
it's a
like
stage, and we've become these characters that we are dramas. It's dramaturgical, a consciousness of dramaturgy, that we're constantly keeping those characters alive while we are still walking around doing physical things, you know.
100%. And, you know, I just literally, my last This Is Ridiculous post was on, I literally, I think it's called like, Did Good Writing Ruin Society? Because good writing, when you teach writing, you teach immediately jump into conflict, immediately heighten the drama, do all the things to make it more exciting. Do not ever let it be boring for 1 second. Yeah. And so all the writers, everybody who is creating your movies, your TV, your serials, everybody has gotten great at heightening the drama. And that's all we watch. I mean, from the time we're tiny children, baby shows now have drama in them. Baby shows used to be like Teletubbies, where they walked around and did absolutely nothing. And for 1 hour, they were a lava lamp that you just stared at because it was pretty. And now baby shows have like conflict and conflict resolution and drama and all this stuff. We are born into a culture that creates drama, that wants drama, that feels that, like, staring into the sky, like your background here with the sky and the fire, staring into a fire is awesome. There's no drama. It's just fire. It's beautiful, unless it's a fire that's burning something down, which is bad. But if it's just like a campfire, it's a contained fire, right? Or like staring at the sky, like that's magical, to just lie on your back and stare at the night sky, stare at the stars. When was the last time anybody did that without like having an ulterior motive for why they were there? Like,
yeah, I guess the word in English is contemplate.
Right, good word. Yeah, but that's it.
Goethe talked about that, the German philosopher, to go out into nature and actually contemplate it, like deeply, intensely, with all your senses,
One of my brothers does that in the woods. He goes daily in the woods and just 1 hour.
Beautiful.
And he's so successful. He's so incredibly successful at what he does. He does audio equipment, and it's really, really high end, cool stuff. It's called Less Loss. It's very neat. But he goes there to be connected, to just inspire, but just to be settled, just to think, literally to contemplate. And I think that's so good. I find myself having a much harder time thinking back. Like I succeed at things and then I never think about them again. If I win an award, I'm like, whatever, I won an award. That's great. And I move on. And I am trying to teach myself to remember these things and let them float me when I'm feeling down or dark, and not in the way that like, oh, I won an award last week, I need to win one this week. That's not the point. It's more like I already did. There's a phrase, an old phrase, rest on your laurels. Right. And at one point I like analyzed it and looked it up because it was a weird phrase and I knew somebody named Laurel, whatever. But to rest on your laurels a long time ago literally meant to take the award crown of leaves that you were wearing for winning the race as a Greek and take it off and sit on it and just chill out. And because you already won the race and now you get to just hang out.
Yeah. And the expression in the North American culture is don't rest on your laurels.
Exactly. We corrupted it. But I think a little bit of resting is not bad. And that's hilarious coming from me who does everything all the time without stopping. I mean, I'm up at, I don't know what ungodly hour doing a podcast and it's lovely. It's like, oh, wow, I should do this every day. It's like different jazzy way to start my day. I love it.
Our conversation at church started revolving around becoming parents and having children. And that's how you and I started connecting over coffee without any ulterior motive. And then the conversation evolved and you mentioned that your nonprofit, Pen Parentis, which we're going to get to shortly. I just wanted to sort of bring our audience back to your timeline. So you graduate from Columbia. How does that transition into the professional writing world?
Yes. So I graduated from Columbia with a writing degree and this is an important thing because this is a spiritual, like life-changing thing. So 2 weeks before my graduation, my father suddenly died. And I loved that man. And he inspired me to love words because he did the crossword puzzle every day. He played Scrabble with me whenever I went home. He was always improving our vocabularies. Anytime there was the reason I have a book, this is real. And the reason that I have a crazy bookshelf like this is because of him, because we had a crazy bookshelf in the dining room. And every time that somebody had a question, we would reach for the Encyclopedia Britannica that was right there. Anytime that anybody had a word, there was our most beloved book and most beaten up book was the dictionary. We had an American Heritage Dictionary, the big one. And he would be like, let's look it up. And I'm like, oh, fine, let's look it up. But actually it served me so well in college and grad school. And once there was an internet, now I say that all the time. I'm like, let's look it up. Don't argue about it. Let's look it up. There's no reason for us to fight. Let's look it up, and we'll know. And now it's a question of like making sure that what your sources are right, because AI is now giving us what we want to hear. So that's crazy.
Exactly. They're pandering to our needs and wants.
It's crazy. Like you have to really use like critical thinking or be able to know whether your thought, because just looking it up and reading the AI summary is not, I tried to find whether somebody had read for my reading series that I host, and I looked it up and they said that, yes, they did. And then I was like, but I'm pretty sure they didn't. So I looked deeper and I had to look 3 times before I discovered that he had not. And AI was just conflating 2 Black men. I'm like, are you kidding me? Wow. Like it just gives you whatever the most convenient answer is. And you really scroll past the AI summary on Google right now. Like maybe someday it'll get better and it'll be better, but right this very minute, it's a lot of just easy answers.
Well,
The first
because
answer,
unfortunately, like everything else on
troubling.
social media, is they want you to stay engaged, and one
Right.
way to make you stay engaged is to basically tell you what you want to hear and serve you more of that, what makes you engaged, and from your history, your browsing history. So it's unfortunate. Yeah,
Yeah.
anyways.
And we do respond to drama. Like we do, if
Yeah.
we see that there's a disaster, there's a good chance we're going to click on it just to make sure everybody's okay and see if it's in the town where your friend lives, like, and then you get more and more of it. And it's really bad. I've been training myself specifically not to click on the things that are going to give horrific violence images.
Yeah, totally.
I can't have those in my feed. I don't want to see that. And so I will like specifically not click on it on social media and then go separately and like search it from what is that called? An incognito browser.
Yeah.
So that I can find out the facts, and look for the facts, and then it doesn't infect but it's so tedious. It's so time intensive.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time for this,
It's like nutrition. It's your plate that you eat every day. What is on your plate, basically?
Absolutely.
Is it healthy vegetables, fiber, fruit, a blend, a nice mix, or is it just junk and crap? And that's the highly sensational, highly dramatic, highly violent things that we are addicted to, on every sense.
Absolutely. But I think it's also our nature. Like it's our nature. It's also our nature to eat the cookie. Like it is, they've done all those studies with kids, like they will eat the cookie because it's really hard to learn not to eat the cookie and to get the 2 cookies later. Like that we are such instinct. We have a level of us is animal and we want things that we want and we don't want to be told we can't have them. But it's that adult self that beautiful wise self that goes, wait, I don't have to jump at every cookie. There are lots of cookies in the world. I can have a cookie tomorrow. I don't have to have this cookie right now. I don't have to click on this clickbait right now. I can think about it a minute. If I'm still thinking about it, I'll go browse it. But maybe it was just something meant to drag my attention away from whatever I was actually doing on the thing. Okay, what I was telling you this. So
your dad,
right before, so my dad. So my poor dad died, and he just literally woke up in the morning and had a heart attack, and that was the end. Wow. And it was like absolutely out of nowhere. He was very young. He's 61 years old. Wow. It was crazy. I was in New York. I have 3 brothers. My youngest brother was home. Like it was just crazy. And it was 2 weeks before my graduation. So my mom, at the time, they were still you could switch your plane ticket to somebody else. So my baby brother got to come to my graduation instead of my dad, because it was supposed to be my mom and my dad. I'm from a non-wealthy family. So we did not have the money for the whole family to fly to New York and watch me graduate. So anyway, my youngest brother and my mom came up and I graduated, got my degree. And I had just bought my first apartment. So my husband and I had bought an apartment. It was in this amazing area right across from these buildings called the Twin Towers. And it's literally across Broadway from the Twin Towers. So yay, we had this view. There was all summer. There were things in the park, all these free festivals. I went to a different festival thing every day. I went to a dance festival. I went to a movie, hung out. I had a Tuesday morning meeting. Every Tuesday morning, I would meet my friend and we were co-writing a musical. We would meet on this beautiful plaza near this beautiful fountain that had a sphere on it. We would meet right outside there. There was a cozy coffee shop. And there we would sit and write a musical at 8:30 every Tuesday morning.
Wow.
So you can imagine, this was, starting in June of 2001. So in June, July, August, September 11th, 2001, September 10th, I had gone out. The weather was spectacular that week. And I went out on that Monday night because the weather was so good. We went to an outdoor restaurant and had some food. I saw Derek Jeter. He was really hot.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, who's that? And they're like, that's Derek Jeter. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but he's beautiful. And I was not a baseball person. I became a baseball person. Anyway, but that night, I saw him. It was this crazy great night. And then I was so like, and I had gone out and I had tied one on. And so I called my friend and I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling well. I want to sleep in tomorrow. Let's not meet. And he said, sure. He lived in Queens. He's like, great, I'll sleep in too. And then that morning when we were supposed to be meeting, like that's when like I was still sleeping and my building shook. Like the building was an earthquake type shake. Crazy. And my husband was in the other room and he said, there's a bomb, because it seemed like a bomb, and because there were papers flying in the air.
Yeah.
And so, and I was just out of bed. I'm like, what? There was a bomb. And then we came out and we were watching television. And then the second plane hit and like everything went out. Like it was crazy.
Power, the electricity, everything.
Everything. It was dark except, well, when the first building collapsed, it turned the entire room dark. Like the whole room went black because we had no light. It was a beautiful day. I don't know if you can see, but it's like bright in my apartment because there's daylight. And the collapse of the first building was so thick. The inside of that dust cloud was so dense that you literally was like the darker than at night, because at night there's still street lights from across the street. I mean, it's New York. It's never dark here. And it went pitch black. So the entire apartment was black except for like the TV. It was like a horror movie. The TVs were shining out. And I was on the phone with my mom telling her I was okay when that happened. And I was like, okay, Mom, I'm still okay. I'm fine. And so then I didn't talk to her for 2 days. And when next time I called her, I was like, Mom, I'm fine. I made it. Everything's good. I'm like staying with my mother-in-law on her floor. My husband and I walked through all this. We made it. We're fine. And my mom goes, oh, I knew that because you told me on the phone you were fine. I'm like, Mom, like 2 days, how could you know? Anyway, it was hilarious. I love my mom because she has ultimate faith. She has more faith than anybody I know. And she will believe that things are great in the worst circumstances. She's like, oh, yeah, we're good. God has us. I'm like, Mom, go get your go bag. We have to go. But that's all right. She has us to protect her. So maybe it is true that God has her in his hands.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Anyway, so that was what happened. So that September 11th thing was crazy. I had to leave home. I had to come back. I had a new MFA. I started writing about it. I actually had a piece accepted about this time. I had a piece accepted by the New Yorker in Talk of the Town. And they called me and they're like, we have to pull your piece because this writer named Susan Sontag has written an essay and we have to publish her. And it was, this controversial, crazy essay that like made her name and made her famous. And I feel proud of being pulled for that essay, I guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that was kind of weird. But then and then I just kept writing. Like I processed everything through writing. I wrote, I didn't write any like memoir type things, but like on the 5th anniversary, I wrote a short story that got picked up about in one of the reviews, the literary reviews. And so and it does come out in my work every once in a while. Actually, this is my story collection, A Flash of Darkness, the one with the checkerboard cover. Mm-hmm. And it has a story in it that has a main character that has PTSD from 9/11. Right. And that is not clear until like it affects him. But it does come up in my work sometimes that I experience that. But the other thing, I really got something out of that. Like, first of all, I got 2 things, I think. I really process difficulty through art. I always try to take whatever it is, and even in the very moment, even while we were running from 9/11, while we were running away from the dust cloud, I was taking photographs because I needed to see small portions of it and just own them. I was afraid that I would forget or that I would die. I don't know what I was afraid of, but I was like, to conquer my fear, I was taking pictures as we went. And to the point where my husband's like, go, just stop taking pictures. We gotta go. Right, I'm like, no, but this is beautiful. Like I have a photograph of a man at his fruit stand, and his fruit stand is completely covered in dust. And he's just staring at it like, whoa, and it that sort of processing. And I do that all the time. Like anytime that I feel disconnected, I'll just go take pictures of things to reconnect and like see things. But then I do that with writing as well. Like if I have difficult emotions or if I have some question that's like weird, I will sit down and write about it. And sometimes it's on my Medium and sometimes it's on my Substack. A lot of times it's fiction and then I send it out and it either gets rejected or accepted eventually. But normally it's not as immediate as the Substack or the Medium.
And so how is the book publishing world in 2025 with the advent of AI technology, the internet? Where is it currently?
So, like every industry, the publishing industry is an industry that wants to make money. So while just even a few years ago, people were publishing celebrities because celebrities always sell. It doesn't matter what they write. It doesn't matter how bad they write. They just get a ghostwriter to write for them.
Right.
So it really, you're literally selling a product with a public name on it that might have that person's real story in it. Like, and it might not. It doesn't matter. If the person will let you use their name and then get a ghostwriter to write, he can say whatever he wants.
He can write a completely fictional tale and it'll sell.
And it'll sell because it's the name that's selling. So that was already a problem because it is very hard to make. Books are not a profitable business. They have never been a profitable business for the business person who is trying to make the book. It is not profitable. Ebooks became somewhat profitable because there's so little tangible, but you still have to pay people. You have to pay the editor. You have to pay the layout. If you want it to be good, you have to have multiple people look at it as a product and make it good, make it nice, And now the marketing people have spent, like, most of the money is on marketing just to let you know, because, like, look at all these crazy books, these millions of books. You've probably read like 5 of them. I've read all of them, but you probably have stuff on your bookshelf where I'm like, I've never even heard of that author. And you're like, oh, I read every one of their books. I've read, he's written 13 books. I'm like, and I have literally never heard of him. And so it is in today's world, I think there are so many people and there's so much content that it is really, really hard to break through that. So I personally no longer write to try to make money. I write because I love writing and I love writing stories. My 2 books, so I have 2 books, and one of them is about how I founded Pen Parentis and all about my nonprofit and about how I got, it starts with my life story. And the middle is literally a guidebook for writers that have kids. And it's written, it's sort of a joke on what to expect when you're expecting, which is broken down into months. So this is broken down into the life cycle of your child. Like, it starts with infants and then it ends with grown and flown. And it tells you, it sort of breaks down the time, energy, and money that you might have available for writing, which is otherwise going to be used up by, your family and your kids. And like, these are like where you might have more or less and what you can expect to possibly get accomplished in your writing during those various phases of childhood of a child's life. And then my other thing is my story collection is just weird fiction. It's all, you can feel the fact that I sit down and I write one story. I'm not working on a collection that's going to be tied together. Every one of these stories, it's like Twilight Zone. You turn it on and the kind of feeling of it, but every single story is completely different. So that's what my story collection is like that. It's like every single story. It is kind of Black Mirror-ish. Like some people are like, oh, it's so weird. I'm like, it is so weird. Yes, it is weird. It's super weird and fun. And some of the stories are very positive. All of them, I think, are positive, but people are like, oh, that one's really creepy. I'm like, well, it is, but then like, it's nice at the end.
You just have to push through it. Right. Milda, when did it dawn on you that Pen Parentis needed to be born?
That was also sort of an after 9/11 kind of thing. So about 9 years after 9/11, I had a neighbor who was a visual artist, and she had broken her ankle and asked me to go to take notes on a grant application seminar that she really wanted to apply for. And of course, me being a nice person, I was like, of course I'll go. I'd be happy to, Red, I love you. And so then I took notes, and at the end of this meeting, this person rushes in, like an intern, rushes in and whispers to the person who is presenting. And the person presenting goes, we just got notified that, the federal government has finally released the whatever amount of money, let's say, $2 million for Lower Manhattan to have art. Anything you can think of to do, it now is the time to write a grant application. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, well, this is a gift. what should I do? And I had been really struggling with this idea of, can I write a novel since I have kids? Because everybody at that time, and it was 2008. So in 2008, the first mommy blogger made 6 figures. I didn't want to write about my kids. I didn't think they should be my material. I don't write, especially at the time, I didn't write any nonfiction. I only wrote fiction. I was trying to write fun, interesting novels that were like big stories and quirky. And I was trying to find my voice in writing. And it definitely did not want to write my day-to-day minutia of what I was doing with the kids. And I know. And so that was the one thing like I was fighting against it. The other thing was just when I would go to writers that did have kids or writers that didn't have kids, both of them would say, well, why did you have kids? You're never going to write. Like that was dumb. And it's like, that's not okay. You can't say like, oh, you shouldn't have an aging father. Like that's how you write. Like that, you can't do that. It's a relationship. Like you're with your children. That is part of your family. That is not part of your career. You can't pit your family against your career. If you put it against each other, you're going to be bad at both of them. If you put your spouse against your career and you're like 1-to-1 and you're not supporting, like you're not loving and then working, it's not going to work. Like it's not, if it becomes a duty only, that's not, you can't do that to your relationships. They have to be joyous, giving, selfless, loving, all the things that you have to get something back from them. Like you have to be excited. Your kids look at you and they're like funny. Their kids are funny. They're interesting. When they're little, they're hilarious. Right. And like that should bring you joy. That should lift you up. That shouldn't be like, oh no, now I have to go and pick up my, like that.
Right.
Yeah. You have to, and so what I was in the process of was writing a novel and trying to be the perfect mom that social media told me I needed to be. And I was never going to be the perfect mom. So then I was like, well, I'm just going to write the novel. And then I was like, well, now I need to find people to be examples for me, because there have to be writers out there that have kids. There have to be. Like, it can't be that every single writer wrote their novel in the middle of the night, drunk and alone and sad. They cannot have, some of these novels must have been written by people who have families and like live and have food.
Like in between chores that are very mundane.
Yeah. And so we, I have a grad school friend who also had kids, and she and I together decided to create this reading series. And the reading series literally was just presenting writers that have kids and are writers. And they were great writers because they're all like our friends from Columbia or people that she knew from reading like literary magazines, and they mentioned that they had kids and stuff. And so we put together the series on Wall Street. It was very elegant. One of the things that I kind of am mad about is that artists and people who have creative careers are generally not valued by society in the same way that somebody who is like a doctor or an accountant is valued. If you look at an accounting conference, the accountants are showered with free gifts and swag and stuff. And, the smallest meeting of accountants is going to have an open bar, right? Whereas what is like to celebrate the book of a person that took them 10 years to write, you go to a bar in the basement, it's sticky, you're paying for your own drinks, the author is paying for the space themselves. And I'm like, that is not how to celebrate an artist. And so I created a reading series that was extremely beautiful in a donated space. A hotel donated their giant ballroom, and we would have these beautiful events. The hotel donated the food and the alcohol. It was a beautiful, elegant reception. We had 3 writers. They were famous writers. We did a ton of publicity. So it was like in New Yorker, it was Talk of the Town. It was like all the big, it was Critics Pick and Time Out New York. It even made like international magazines. The Four Seasons magazine wrote about it. Like, it was really beautiful. And it was because of the generosity of a hotel. Like, it just decided that.
Well, I mean, for starters, I'm getting the sense from you that you thought big from the beginning. about this. And so, but it also seems to me that this Pen Parentis came from a need for you to find camaraderie with other parents and finding your own voice and your place as a mother, still as a professionally successful writer. So you start trying to find the community and build that community, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Finding the other writers that are parents. I really wanted to connect with writers that were parents. And I had plenty of mom friends. I had plenty of like people to talk about how to do a diaper right or which service was best. Like I had plenty of people that could do that, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about like, how do you write a poem if you have to pick up your kid at daycare, like in the middle of it? Like, what do you do during that time? These moments of, so the way that I sort of break it down, and it's in my book, is the time, energy, and money are the three resources that you have. You have this much of it, and then you have to allocate it to the things that matter to you. And a lot of times people put that into two buckets and they put them on opposite sides of a Libra scale. And you go back and forth between my family, my career, my family, and that will make you miserable. Because the truth is there are thousands of buckets and they're all on a mobile and they're all shifting all the time. If you picture your life as all the things you love and the things you have to do and the things you want to do, and they're all like on this mobile, and anytime something new is added, you're putting it on the mobile. So you have to find the balance of all the things. And the closer to the middle it is, the more stable it is. So, you know, you want to put your family really tight to the middle. And then you're writing, where do you hang that? Like, is that all the way at the end where you never get around to it? And the minute anything happens, it goes, it's the first thing to go. Or is it like closer to the middle? So that, you know, what goes is the laundry, because you can put that off for another week. Or what might go is, I don't know, I don't really go to the gym. I exercise in my house. Like I can't, the time that is spent to leave my house, get dressed, go to the gym, like all that, I don't have that time. So I just like exercise in the morning and that's fine. And, or like walk faster or walk an extra stop. Like I'll just add it into my everyday routine. So that's where I get some extra time to do things.
And I think what's important to highlight for our listeners here is that Pen Parentis is not an organization to teach parents how to become writers. No. It only selects already successful professional writers that have been published by multiple publications and things like that, right? So that's important.
So there's two kind of echelons, right? There is a pro level for people who have, and so we present writers that have kids, and those have to be successful. Those start out successful. They are there to be an example to the people that are starting out and that are struggling, or that wrote a book 20 years ago and then stopped for a long time because they got worried. So we're there for all the people that have walked away from their writing careers or who are a little bit distant. And for those people, we have our YouTube series on YouTube/Pen Parentis. It has the entire archive of salons. Just watch them and get inspired. Like, we present the writers that have done it so that you can crowdsource ideas for how you can do it. And then if you are seriously committed to your writing, like let's say you have 3/4 of a book and then you're just stuck, or you wrote a book and then you had a baby and you stopped writing for 5 years and now you don't know how to get back into it. We're very much there for those people as well. We have actually individual, we have the all access membership lets you get into these small meetup groups where you can actually talk to a small group about these things. And we're working on how to scale this so that we can get a lot of people, because right now we're very, very individual and very like the communities are extremely tight and lovely.
One thing that I saw on your website that I really liked, Milda, was the accountability partners.
Right. So so those groups, that's kind of what I'm talking about in these meetups. We have these new things called sprints in which you can buy like 6 weeks of being in an accountability group, because it's very solid. It's either 6 weeks or 12 weeks, depending on who's teaching it. And and you just buy them, and then you just go deep dive into what you want to achieve. And you have a community of other writer parents. So if something happens that's really out of left field, nobody is going to make you feel bad. If on one of the weeks you don't make your whatever goal you set, let's say 250 words, say you didn't make that goal because, and it's some like kid related thing, or like you, whatever, like your mom came into town and you had no idea she was coming. You had to clean the whole house. Like, we get it. We get that there's a life and there's a career. And those two things, when they mesh, can be brilliant. They can be beautiful, and you can achieve unbelievable things. When I went to visit so I was on a trip to Lithuania, and I had a layover in Sweden, and I went to the Nobel Prize Museum, which I didn't know existed, but I was just walking by. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this medal. It's a Nobel Prize. So I went in and I looked, and I went to the literature section. And when I was there, 8 of the last 10 Nobel Prize winners had kids in literature. So over the course of their career, they had written things that were worthy of Nobel Prizes. And a lot of the book awards and like those things are for one book. And so a lot of times those are won by young people who just have some cutting edge thing that they're doing that's brand new that nobody's ever seen before, because they're young, and they write this book and then they publish it and then they win this award, and then they maybe write one book after that or 2, or become lecturers and teach, like a lot of that is that kind of career. But the Nobel Prize is like your entire literary career, and it's awarded to you at the end of your life to see like, what all have you done? And the fact that 8 out of 10 of them the year that I went were parents is just magical to me. Like, it means like, oh, so it's like the whole career. It's not like this one book,
Right. I'm curious, Milda, as we shift more and more, it seems, from a attention that is focused on one task at a time, where we can deeply commit ourselves to, contemplating things the way we used to do more before screens were all around us. It seems that, and I talked to a lot of people about this, and they kind of agree. Before screens, I used to be able to read so many more books, and today my attention span is so fragmented that it's much harder to read.
Yeah.
And it seems like a natural shift is occurring for more audio content.
Yeah.
So how does that affect your world, the parent writers, and creating audiobooks out of their written content? Just curious how you're seeing this.
So I think initially writers were a little bit hesitant on audiobooks, but the fact that it makes people read is great. And honestly, who didn't like being read to when they were a kid? Like, everybody loves it. And it's funny because people who are not engaged with the quote unquote literary world, and they've never been to a reading. I just went this past summer. I flew out to Cleveland and had a reading in Cleveland, and the room was filled with people who had literally never been to a reading, nor had they any idea what it was. And when I stood in front of them and just read from my book, they were in awe. They were like, this is magical. This is like being a kid. I'm just sitting here listening to a story. I'm like, yeah, that's what a reading is. It's fun. And in the bookstores, they have them all the time. They use them in the bookstores. They really use them to market the book. Like here's a piece of the book. Go buy the rest of the book, right? At Pen Parentis, we use it to show you what the author is like, what their writing is like. And so you get kind of a flavor of the author. We do like little 3-minute readings from each author, and then we usually have 3 or 4 authors in a salon, and then they talk about how they balance their time, their energy, and their money, and how they wrote this book. And then we talk about craft, and we usually also have like an overarching theme that's like, the next one is in October or November. We have one in October, one in November, one in December, like once a month on the second Tuesday. And they always have these interesting themes. So we're doing one on AI in November. October is about beauty and violence in language. So that'll be really interesting. Like, it'll be really interesting to see what these 3 very different writers, and everybody that we present is a parent. They're all parents, but we have 3 very, very different writers in October. Like, one lives in Tel Aviv with her daughter. One is a trans writer who is a doula as a profession. Wow. And they are a poet, and their poetry is really beautiful. It's very interesting. And then one is, who's the third one is, And the third one just writes super experimental fiction. Like you can't tell if it's poetry or prose. It's very surreal. It's just really usually very, very short. A New Yorker, and he's read First Before. His writing it's extraordinary what he does with language, where you're just like, I don't almost understand it. It's so interesting. Yeah. So it'll be fun.
No, I love having met you and your organization, what you're doing, because you're bringing the creative sort of lonely artist stereotype out. You're just deconstructing that in a way and bringing it to the center of a busy life with kids, with the family, with all these thriving things that are happening alongside the creative, artistic pursuits that we all need to devote more attention to. And that's part of our culture, not being so addicted to just produce productivity. What is this objective? Are you going to have a useful objective? Are you going to make money out of it? What's the end goal? Like all of these questions meant to narrow down something that's of a financial consequence versus writing for writing's sake, for art's sake, for beauty's sake.
If only we could stop using money and success as an interchangeable thing. Like a successful person is not necessarily somebody who makes money, because that means like drug dealers are the most successful people because they're making all the money. Like they're, criminals, they're making all the money with the least amount of work. So they are the ones that are like that's not okay. Like you can't judge merely on the producing of money. That cannot be, because also we've all been in these situations where something that you see in a store costs $20,000 and you're like, are you kidding me? Why is this pencil a $20,000 pencil? And you know that somebody is going to go buy it just to find out why it's a 20, because they have the extra cash and they're just going to buy it. And so then this pencil maker is going to make the next pencil, and then they're going to be successful. But what they're not selling there's no value in that. That's like curiosity is satisfied and I made some money. That's not there. Like, what have you added to the world?
Right.
And especially maybe garbage, because the person's like, oh, this is a dumb pencil. I threw it out. I got taken. So.
And I think as we march towards an AI controlled world,
it's bad because marketing,
the human aspect of presenting your art, I think will be one of the last things to be replaced by robots if it ever gets there. So I think all the more reason for us to devote ourselves to what is purely a human characteristic, which is the creative expression of your art, of your beauty, of your light, of your muse, whatever is inspiring you to pursue that avenue in whatever art form, but more importantly, not just produce it, but present it, because the presenting aspect of it is what I think will never be, or if probably will be one of the last things to be replaced.
Well, you know what? Why I think that AI is working so well is because it's trained to be a nice person.
Yeah.
And if people were nice people, we would be infinitely better than AI. But you ask an AI something and AI says, oh, that's a great question. Let me look that up for you. Or the irritating the phone robot people that your customer service that are replacing the people who actually know the answer and can actually help you. They're what is so annoying is for the robot voice to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. Would you mind repeating that? And they're so kind and good and lovely, and you just want to scream at them because they're not real. And but people, we lose our temper and we are not easily gentle and kind. But when you think about besides depositing your paycheck so that you can go and buy something and pay your rent, there is in your job, the best feeling is when your boss or your client tells you how great you are at your job. Yeah. And we automated that with AI, and that's what stole all our jobs away, is because that beautiful moment of your boss saying, hey, I really liked you did such a good job on this PowerPoint. Like, I really enjoyed putting it up. I felt very proud of it. And thanks for doing that for me. Like, we don't do that anymore. We don't have time for that. And I feel like if we did more of that, like, people would remember that humanity is actually, like, the good side of humanity is also part of humanity. Not just the to err is human, but also to kiss somebody is human. AIs can't kiss you. You know, they can't. They can thank you, but it's not, they don't actually know what they're thanking you for. They're just responding words. Whereas people, like, that connection of, like, looking somebody in the eye and being like, I am so sorry that this happened to you, or I am so glad that I met you. Like, that's why, like, when I connected with you, Fred, over the coffee, I was like, oh my God, he's a musician. This is my people. Like, he's my people. And I just met him randomly in a room. That's so cool. Like,
that aspect of community will never be replaced.
Yeah.
It's too human and too part of our DNA.
But it means you have to get out there.
Exactly. You got to make the effort. Exactly. Don't hide behind the screens only. I love our conversation. I want people to follow your work. So everybody, check out all the links in the description of the video, the YouTube series, Milda's personal website, Pen Parentis, how you can donate, how you can be a sponsor, how you can become a member, how you can support this organization, and to empower you as a writer, if you have kids especially, to join Pen Parentis, because I think it's one of the things that parents need most is the positive reinforcement of a community that can tell them you are able to do it. You can do it. Look how it's done. Look how we've done it. We can help you do it. So thank you so much for being here around Fire and Spirit Reflections. And we'd like to close with giving the audience a little bit of a taste of your work. So what do you got prepared for us?
All right. So this is semi-prepared. This is an ode to the hairstyle that I am not sporting tonight. It is something that I read out loud at an event because I was wearing braids. On this auspicious occasion, my hair should be blown out, shiny, sleek, professional, reflective of the serenity and control that I long to be feeling. But people, it is raining on and off, and I, like most of you, woke to kid problems and a gallon of milk gone sour, the plastic bottle destined to kill millions of future tuna and maybe humans. And that is after my son says the condensation on the outside was why it slipped and spilled all over the kitchen floor. So besides the rain and the crowded subway with the one wailing woman and the Jesus invoker at opposite ends of the car, why, oh, why do these two not cancel each other out like an acid and a base? Besides all this, and astrology and tarot in conflict, and of course, the sticky political atmosphere trying to squeeze us into submission like a blanket made of cactus skin, here I am, and my hair is not blown out, but rather tied up in 2 long braids. And why? Because all women should remember being 8 when they face down evil fearlessly by sticking out our tongues, fingers distorting our mouths monstrously, forgetting for a moment to be pretty. And with every justification in the world, looked evil dead in the eye and blew a raspberry loud and satisfying. And then turning our backs, we stalked off the victor.
Awesome. Loved it. So New York.
Yeah, right? There's so many things. But I literally wrote that on the way to a meeting where I was like not done. I just was like, and it was a big presentation. I had to like present at Book on Book Festival. It's kind of funny.
The 2 characters in the subway canceling each other out was perfect. Oh my God.
It's like, why don't you guys just talk to each other? Like, the Jesus person can help the sad woman and they can just like get along. Like,
Perfect. Milda, big hug to you. Thank you so much for sharing your light, your beauty, and your art on Around the Fire and Spirit Reflection. Don't disconnect yet. Everybody, like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you'd like to hear next. And also be part of the Patreon community that Spirit Reflections has so we can continue this work together. I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye. Thanks.